Next idea of number theory, as we are familiar with divisible rules and division algorithm. Now the next idea is if remainder is 0. In a division or in a statement of division algorithm, if remainder is 0, what will happen? See, basically if A is divided by B, quotient is some Q, remainder is R. Then in this case, we will write that A is equals to BQ plus R from the statement of division algorithm. If remainder is 0, okay, if this remainder is 0, then we need to write A is equals to BQ plus 0 and A is equals to BQ. In this case, if remainder is 0 when A is divided by B, we will write A is equals to BQ. In this case, that division is considered as exact division. Division is considered as exact division. And we usually call A is divisible by B. A is divisible by B. Division is exact division. A is divisible by B. Divided by is different from divisible by. And A is divided by B leaves some remainder. If A is divisible by B, for sure leaves remainder 0. And in the same way we say that B divides A. You need to memorize this terminology. A is divisible by B. As well, B divides A. What? B divides A. In the sense B is the divisor, A is the dividend and 0 is the remainder. Okay. So A is divisible by B. B divides A, and when in this from this A is equals to BQ, we say that, yeah, you just have a look this B as factor or divisor of A. Factor or divisor of A. And in the same way, A is called multiple of B. Because B into some Q will give us A. So A is multiple of B and B is factor of A. Factor or divisor both are same. Okay. So the concept of factor and multiple arises at this position if remainder is 0. And one more thing, what to say about the factor? See, from the concept of division side, B as factor of A. Okay. So for suppose if I wish to find factors of 12, what I need to do? See, from this discussion, if there is some remainder, A is dividend, B is divisor, Q is quotient and R is remainder. But if remainder is 0, then this place A is corresponding to multiple and this place B is corresponding to factor. See, if remainder is 0, then we call this dividend as multiple of this divisor and this divisor as factor of that dividend. Okay, and that's why this position is for multiple, this position is for factor. So for suppose, if I wish to find factors of 12, what I need to do? As I said, this position is for factors, right? So 12, we need to divide with certain number, it has to give remainder 0. So we need to check the possibilities to fill this blank. Okay. So every possibility is a factor. So if you take 1 here, you left with remainder 0. If you take 2 here, you left with remainder 0. If you take 3, remainder 0. If you take 4, remainder 0. If you take 5, remainder is not 0. So 5 is not a factor of 12. 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, 3 is a factor, 4 is a factor, but 5 is not a factor. So to find out the factors of a given number, we need to follow this particular divisor. In the same way, if you wish to think about multiple, okay, for suppose if I wish to think about multiples of 7, okay, see, this is the position of multiple. So I need to fill this blank and all the possibilities of this blank are the multiples of 7. If I fill this with 7, 14, 28, everything leaves us remainder 0. So all these are the multiples of 7. I think we are all very familiar with the factor and multiple from our 3rd, 4th class onwards. But here what I am going to tell you is, if remainder is 0, then automatically dividend will become multiple of divisor and divisor will become factor of dividend. This is the position of multiple, this is the position of factor. See, we need to memorize that particular idea. So identifying this as the position of factor and it as the position of multiple simplifies many problems, and it is very helpful in understanding LCM and HCF concept. Okay, I will handle it in the next class, right? So for today, factor and multiple, right? So if remainder is 0, as I said, B is the factor of A and A is the multiple of B. Okay. So as I said, if anybody asks you to find the factors of 12, you need to think about the possibilities for this blank, and we know the possibilities are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. These are the possibilities of this blank. So factors are finite, and among those factors, 1 is the least factor. Usually every number has 1 as a factor. Okay. And whereas coming to the multiples of 7, this is the position of multiple. So we need to think about the possibilities of this blank, and the possibilities are 7, 14, 21, 28 and so on. All these are the multiples of 7. Okay. And multiples of a number are infinite. Whereas factors of a number are finite, multiples are infinite. Among the factors, 1 is the least factor always. Among the multiples, highest multiple is indeterminate and infinite. Okay. So this is something about factor and multiple. Okay. From the total discussion, you need to memorize that this is the position of factor and this is the position of multiple. Right. And the next thing is about prime numbers. See, prime numbers are those numbers which have only two factors, exactly two factors, 1 and itself. If you have a number, okay, for that number, if we have exactly two factors, then those numbers are considered as prime numbers. And we know the prime numbers list also. Just I am giving you some numbers: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and so on. All these are the prime numbers. And one observation from this is all the prime numbers are odd except 2, and this 2 is the even prime, and that to the least. Okay. Right. These are the prime numbers. Whereas coming to the composite numbers, composite number means a numbers which have more than two factors. Exactly two factors are corresponding to primes. Numbers having more than two factors are considered as composite. So usually the numbers in between these primes like 5, 8, 12, 25, all these are composite numbers. And when you observe, 1 is a special number. Okay. This is neither prime nor composite, because 1 has only one factor. To call it as prime, it need to have two factors, but it has only one factor. To call it as composite, it must have more than two factors, but it has only one factor. So there is no chance to call that one as prime or composite. So we will consider this one as neither prime nor composite. See, I think you are all familiar with these concepts. Just as a part of number theory, I am just revising all these ideas. Okay. And the next thing is fundamental theorem of arithmetics. Usually every branch of mathematics starts with a fundamental theorem. In the same way, here we have fundamental theorem of arithmetics, or you may say fundamental theorem of numbers. See, fundamental theorem of arithmetics or fundamental theorem of numbers is simply nothing but your favorite prime factorization. Okay. See, well-known prime factorization is also considered as fundamental theorem of numbers or fundamental theorem of arithmetics. What it says? It says that every composite number can be expressed as a product of primes. Okay. See, you just take any number. Since you are all familiar with this prime factorization, that prime factorization is simply fundamental theorem of arithmetics. For suppose if you take a number like 36, this can be expressed as 2 square into 3 square, right? So 36 is a composite number, and we are expressing that number as product of powers of primes. Okay. So fundamental theorem of arithmetics is simply every composite number can be expressed as product of powers of primes. Okay. So it happens for every composite number, right? So these are some ideas related to the division algorithm if remainder is 0. If remainder is 0, there arises the concept of factor and multiple. From that concept of factor, we will generate based on the number of factors prime and composite. After having prime and composite, there is a chance to express every composite number as product of primes, and that is mentioned as fundamental theorem of arithmetics. Okay. So related to primes also we have many other definitions like twin primes, prime triplets and everything. Okay. So you need to memorize these definitions and the properties related to these, okay, to solve different problems. Have a look. And that's for today's class. and I will start LCM and HCF, most probably HCF in the next class and then LCM. Okay, definition, methods to find HCF, as well as different problems related to the HCF, and then LCM. Okay, at the end, different problems based on HCF and LCM together after that. Okay, that's for today's class.